Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Youth Have a Voice podcast. If you're new here, my name is Feolami Joseph, and today I have a very special guest with us. Today I'm joined with Philip Anderson Samura. So Philip is currently a graduate research assistant working on the Wild Animal Death Project, a collaboration between the ALU School of Wildlife Conservation and the Wildlife Conservation Research Unit at Oxford University. The aim of the Wild Animal Death Project is to assess the relative welfare impact of different human-caused deaths for wild animals and use this to help inform public and political discussions among the hunting of large African mammals. He is also a research and business development associate at We Do Green organization, and he is responsible for developing a sustainable business model to help the private sector in Rwanda transition from the brown to the green economy just transition. Philip is also from Sierra Leone. We actually met a few months ago when I invited him for a webinar that I had in collaboration with the Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development Africa. How are you today, Philip?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. And it's a bit cold here in Cape Town, but I'm doing great. No worries at all. How
Okay.
are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've actually been to Cape Town myself. I love Cape Town, so I know it's winter there at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it is.
I think we could just start off with telling me, how did your background, can you tell us more about your background and how did your passion for climate change begin?
Yeah, I think this question is one of like the most difficult questions because it brings forth a chance for me to like go back and see how far I've come. So it's a bit difficult. So it started, I would say, in 2017 when I was still in Sierra Leone. By then, we had a twin disaster, a mudslide and a flooding that led to the death of over 1,000 Sierra Leoneans in less than, I think, 10 hours or so. But unfortunately, to be honest, I didn't know exactly like the cause. I just knew it was around issues around environmental protection and a society that was highly environmentally unstable. I knew that, but it was not until 2019, I think 2019, a friend of mine, we had worked like on a project when we were like young, like when we were kids at the Children's Fund Network because I was highly involved in children and youth advocacy by then, especially like how by then how do we ensure that we protect the rights of children and youth. And so he was part of an organization called the Human Integration and Life Empowerment Organization, HALIO. They had like their main office in the US, and the one in Sierra Leone was more or less like a branch. You get more or less like a branch. So we went there and then we had like a beach cleaning exercise. I was very active in that particular program, and I think I was also like part of like the key organizers or so. And after then, I got an opportunity to study at the African Leadership University, and I started like digging deeper to understand exactly what is climate change, like what are some of the impacts and the rest. And I eventually like and fell in love with the whole concept of climate change and the need to actually solve this particular problem, not only for Sierra Leone, but more significantly for the African continent at large. So basically, that's exactly how I like fell in love with the concept of climate change, and I actually turned it to my passion story and the rest.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Philip. So today we're basically talking about how family have an impact on youth as they navigate the different careers and their different passions. So when you decided you were interested in climate change, how did your family take it? And even up to date, how do they feel now you have kind of navigated in that career as what you want to do?
I I I think discussions like this are very important because to the best of my knowledge, I may be wrong, but I think almost 9 in 10 Africans have actually faced this issue around family pressure also when it comes to career. I think mine started when I was like, when was that? But basically, when I completed my senior high school work, I wanted to, of course, I wanted to do something around mass communications. No, at first, due to how like my environment was programmed. Of course, the goal was to do law, like for my family, like my mom, my dad, my aunties, my uncles, almost everyone like wanted me to do law. So I was
Mm.
going to do law. But what happened was I didn't do due diligence. So I thought I didn't meet like the requirement to study law. So I'm like, okay, then let me do mass communications. I wanted to do mass communications, and by then they had written their entrance exam. So I didn't do mass communication. And next in line was political science. I wanted to do political science. My grandma was like, no, Philip, you can do politics, find something else, blah, blah, blah. And then I changed. I did something I didn't even know before writing my work. You get. So when it comes to this climate change and natural resources management specifically, it was a bit tough because like almost everyone wanted me to do law. In fact, for my mom, when I was in my second year or so at ALU. And then she called me. For her, she thought I was even doing law. I'm like, no, I'm not doing law. You get. So it was a bit tough for them to accept that, okay, at this particular point, I am interested in doing something else. But eventually they ended up like understanding, and they ended up like agreeing. In This shows that there are times it's about how effectively we communicate like our stance, and
Mm.
how like most significantly, how focused to some extent we are to pursuing our goals.
Mm. Okay. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to a younger person, maybe someone who had the same kind of background as you, who really wants to pursue something, but they're trying to balance their family expectations with their passions? Because, for a lot of young people, sometimes even difficult because it's maybe their family that is meant to be supporting their education. So they're a bit conflicted that, oh, it's my family that's supporting me and they don't want me to go in this particular pathway. So, what advice would you give for someone struggling to balance their family expectations and what they truly are interested in doing?
First off, I must confess that it's actually not an easy decision at all. It's not easy. Like it's very, 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 very tough. It's very, very, very tough. So my advice would be, first off, be compassionate. Like take it. I think I said this the last time. Take it easy on yourself. Like life is already hard, life is already tough. So just calm down and be compassionate. Take it easy on yourself for now. And probably the next step would be like gratitude. In as much as our families may actually want or need something for us to do that doesn't align with what we want to do, we should as well recognize the fact that for a significant portion of time, they've actually been there for us. So first off, let's also show like gratitude, not only to ourselves, but also to them. And we must know that they are not our enemies at all, just that they may
Mm.
actually want us to take a different path. So it's not like, to some extent, I won't say it's a do or die, or it's myself against them, or they versus me, all these things, either or all those basic things. So I think the aspect of gratitude, recognizing the significant role they've played. When I say that, I mean like our family, the significant roles like they've played in our lives is also crucial. And most significantly, we should also try as best as possible to be curious, like in as much as we want to do, we want to choose this career pathway, we want to do this, we want to do that. The most fundamental question is why.
Mm.
The most fundamental question is why. I think once we are able to seek clarification on the aspect of why, then we may have like a roadmap, a roadmap. It may not be too clear as it may be, but at least something that would as well guide our thoughts and guide our engagements with our family, I think would be there. And having done that, first be compassionate, show gratitude, and be curious. Then I think we can then start like having the conversation with our parents with a thorough understanding that it's not a do or die. Or when I say parents, I'm basically referring to like our family. It's not like a do or die. or it's as if we are fighting against them, or it's as if like they are like our enemies or so. No. But we also need clarity on our end, because as much as our family members may need something different from us, they are not our enemies at all. So I think we must understand that particular thing. And another thing I would also want to pinpoint is the importance of like dialogue. You get, is the importance of like dialogue, because for most young people they tend to just like, to some extent I would say, like let it slide, or tend not to share it at all, or tend to say, okay, it's okay, since that's what they want, let me just continue. There are times like having dialogues like with our family members, with our parents, I think is also key. And for us on the continent, I feel like that's something we've been deprived of. You get, so most significantly, having sort of like clarification, then you may also want to have dialogue with them and try as best as possible to communicate your stance with the highest respect possible.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Philip. I think something I have really been able to get from what you said is effective communication is very key in things like this, because I think a lot of Africans are used to, a lot of young Africans who may not really, even the older generation. I know a lot of people in the older generation who ended up in careers they were not really interested in, but it was their parents that said, oh, you must go through this way, you don't have any other choice. And because communication wasn't something that they were brought up to really do properly, so they end up getting stifled and they end up regretting their choices later on. So I think something I've been able to take from what you've said is effective communication is very, very important in being able to take your stance and choose what you want to do. So now I want to talk more about what you're currently doing. You're currently in Cape Town for a research project, I believe. Would you like to tell us more about it?
Oh, I'm currently in Cape Town for my studies.
Okay.
Doing my master's in environment, society, and sustainability at the University of Cape Town. And I am a Mandela Rhodes scholar. So basically, they are funding like my master's, the Mandela Rhodes Foundation. They are funding my master's. And in addition, I am also working as a graduate research assistant for the School of Wildlife Conservation at the African Leadership University, and of course the Wildlife Conservation Research Unit at the University of Oxford. And I'm also helping an organization called the We Do Green organization to develop like a sustainable like financial or a business model for them to be able to help like private entities or private companies in Rwanda to transition from the brown economy. So the brown economy, like an economy that relies on fossil fuel, which enhance greenhouse gas warming, or the challenge we are facing around climate change, to a more like green, to also a greener economy. And yeah, that's it for now. And it's been amazing so far.
Okay, would you like to share some of the challenges you have faced going so far? And maybe for youth who may be interested in pursuing a similar pathway, what would you advise them to do?
Ah, I think the the most like difficult challenge I've faced so far is the aspect of defining or like finding a niche within the climate change space, or the environmental protection space, or the conservation space. It's been tough, or it was tough before now, but I think it's also part of the process, because a lot is going on when it comes to environmental protection or environmental sustainability. So if you are unable to find your niche, or unable to find like a specific sector in which you are highly, highly interested in, you'll just be like all over the place, and there will be like lots of distractions on your end. You get, so the most difficult challenge for me is this aspect of finding my niche. Like, okay, what, in as much as overall is promoting environmental conservation, environmental sustainability, what exactly am I interested in? Or you get, or if I am to die today, like what exactly would I want to be remembered for? You get all those basic things. So I think like finding a niche has been the most difficult challenge. And what I've been able to do is to be truthful to myself, like having like a thorough conversation with myself, like, okay, what are some of my motivations? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I interested in? Like having conversations with myself have been very helpful when it comes to finding my niche. And another aspect I think, or another challenge I think I've also faced that is tough, is the aspect of like getting the first opportunity. Because you have like little, by then I had like little or no justification at all. Probably like when I was applying for internships or so, like there was no like background. So it was a bit tough for like organizations, maybe companies or so, to give me a chance. So it was a bit of like I got a number of rejections or what have you. But I kept on pushing, I kept on knocking on the doors. And today, whenever I look at my resume, I'm like, yeah, boy, you've done well. You get, so in essence, the rejections may come, but just keep on pushing, just keep on pushing. And once you get that one opportunity, just don't take it for granted. You get, just don't take it for granted. Ensure you do your best and ensure you get the work done, because you never can tell the other opportunities that may derive from the one opportunity you got. So in a nutshell, two challenges: first, finding my niche, and second, getting that first opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing, Philip. I'm really enjoying the conversation so far. So, as we round up, for people who have problems with confidence, for example, I think for you to even be resilient as a person, you need to have some sort of self-confidence that, okay, I was rejected from this opportunity, but I believe in myself that regardless of this rejection, I can still push forward and continue striving. So, how can young people who don't really understand how to be confident, how can they build that confidence to go after what they are really passionate about?
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. I think one of the best conversations I've had with a mentor was around, to some extent, confidence and building that muscle. She told me something. She said, Philip, if you are not paying an application fee and you are interested in that opportunity, you know you are really, really interested in that opportunity, apply for it. Apply for it. You get, so in essence, what she exposed me to was the aspect of first knowing what you want, because she said if you are interested in the opportunity, there is no way you would know whether or not you are interested in it if you don't know what you want. So I think to some extent, people, it sounds like a cliche that when someone says know thyself, or know yourself, know yourself, know yourself, but it's actually very, very important, sorry, and highly fundamental. You get, so first off, have conversations like with your very self. There are times we talk to people, but I doubt if we have conversations with ourselves. Like, go for a walk. Like, if you want to be indoors, stay indoors, but have that conversation with yourself. Like, know exactly what you want, know what you're interested in. And second, don't be scared of rejections. Don't be scared of rejections. You get, don't be scared of rejections. If you are interested in it, ignore the number of people that will apply for the opportunity. Just submit your application and see how it goes from there. You get, so my friends and I, we have like this thing we normally tell each other. If we apply for an opportunity and the decision is out, we'll be like, bro, have you received your thank you for applying? So for us, we are like, okay, whenever you see thank you for applying, then just know it's a
A
Harvard style of
rejection.
rejection. Harvard style of rejection. They will say, okay, you have these qualities. We appreciate this. We appreciate that. But unfortunately, rejection comes in. So just apply, and I've also realized that, well, it may not be the case, but rejections you have, confidence you become. I don't know but for me, that's what I think. Because if I apply and I'm rejected, I know I'm interested in this opportunity. I'll keep on applying. I'll keep on applying. But again, you must be guided. You must also be embarking on reviews like, why was I even rejected in the first place? You get. So let's say, for instance, I applied for how is this program called, Mandela Washington, this yearly or so Mandela Washington. Was it in 2021? Yeah, that's when I submitted my application. I applied and I was rejected. But I'm like, 2022 came. I'm like, no, I'm not applying in 2022. 2023 came. I'm like, no, I'm not applying in 2023. I'll apply in 2024. This 2024, I'll apply. The reason being, for me personally, having done my review, I realized that, okay, I still needed to work on A, B, C, D, and E. Having worked on those particular things, then I can then submit my application. You get? Because if you keep on, in as much as I say you should apply when the rejections keep on coming, just keep on applying, then I think you won't get like something tangible from the process if you fail to review and know exactly what you should work on. Otherwise, I think that in itself would be like the highest form of stupidity, where you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you expect different results. So whilst to build confidence, there is no two way about it. First, if it's about opportunities, probably you're applying for opportunities or so, apply. And in the process of applying, reach out to those who achieved that particular thing before you, or those who went there before you. Let them share their experiences with you. Just a simple like message on LinkedIn, like, hello, how are you? I'm applying for this opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I know we still have bad people, but now people are also nice. We still have nice people. We still have nice people. So reach out on LinkedIn, reach out on any platform you think works best for you. Just reach out and see how it goes from there. Again, have conversations. Have conversations with people like, okay, I'm going through this. I know it's tough, like I said initially. Life in itself is very hard, but let us be compassionate to each other and even for ourselves. So again, have conversations with people. Have conversations with people. And if it's about opportunities, just apply and see how it goes from there.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. I think something I really took from what you said, a lot of people, they sometimes make the same mistakes over and over again. So you first of all have to go back to base one to see. I like how you spoke about how you applied in 2021, then you took like a 3-year break before applying again. So I think for anyone who is listening to us right now, if you were maybe rejected from something you were really looking forward to, look at your application again and see, okay, based on the rejection I received, what do I think I could possibly do better to make sure that as I'm reapplying, the same mistake I made will not happen again. So I think I really like that you spoke about that. That is really important for a lot of young people to hear. So my final question, I've really enjoyed our conversation for today. For young people who want to go into climate change and sustainability and helping the environment, how would you say they could start? Especially if they had no background in this at all, or they don't know where to begin from.
Interesting question. In addition to the how, I will also put when they should start. There is no better time to start than now. Like now, if you're watching this podcast and you're interested in having a career in climate change, environmental protection, environmental sustainability, and the list goes on. There is no better time to start than now, especially for us as Africans. The facts are all over the place. If you look at the top 10 most countries vulnerable to the impact of climate change, you would be shocked to know that almost 5 or 6 out of the top 10, they are African countries. If you look at the countries that are already being affected, significant portion of them Like when you look, significant portion of them, they are from Africa, like the continent we are all in. So there is no better time to start than now. With regards to how, I've always been like a fan of this saying, you can't change what you don't know. So what you may want to do is to try as best as possible to understand like exactly what like the climate change is about, what like the whole environmental protection, the current debate, and all those basic things. First of all, instead of maybe going straight to social media, it's okay to go to social media, starting your campaigns on social media, but significantly ensure that you do your homework. And a huge portion of your homework is based on you enhancing your knowledge or your understanding of exactly the thing you say you're passionate about, or the thing you say you want to like craft a career in. So if when it comes to the how, I would say you cannot change what you don't know. To try as best as possible to enhance your knowledge. There are free resources on YouTube, there are free resources on Coursera, and the list goes on. So first off, have an understanding, you get. And having had that particular understanding, we must realize that there are differences. There are lots and lots and lots of differences based on socioeconomic realities, based on political dynamics, and the list goes on. So try as best as possible to ensure that like you relate exactly your understanding of the theoretical concept to the realities on ground. You get. I think one of the things I've been doing a lot recently, even in class, is how can I relate? How can I relate the theoretical concepts I'm getting from my class to the realities in my country, Sierra Leone? Get. That's something like personally I'm investing a lot of my time in currently, like the realities on ground and the theoretical concept, because otherwise you will be shocked. You get. So that's why we have lots of academics or lots of people in academia that are completely disconnected from realities on ground. So for you, if you're starting, try as best as possible to understand first of how, the how which entails you having a knowledge, a thorough knowledge, or a knowledge on climate change, and then you relate it to the realities on the ground, like wherever you are. So and as I said, sorry, the most you don't need to wait. Like the best time to start is now. So the best time to start is now. So that's it. Start now, develop your knowledge, and then lead Africa forward.
Thank you so much for speaking today, Philip. I've really enjoyed listening to you today. So the final question I want to ask you, is there anything we can look forward to seeing from you in the very near future? Any projects we can expect from you to support you also?
Yes, I yes. The bottom line is, I may not say this like more often, but I am honestly impressed by what you're doing currently. Like trying as best as possible, sorry, to give like your platform or to share your platform with young people, to share their thoughts and to inspire like other young people. So congratulations to you, like, and the rest of your team. And
Thank
in
you.
the future, you might have noticed already that I'm interested in research and development. Probably one of the things I'm looking forward to in the not too distant future is to have like maybe a research and development consultancy firm to help private companies or private or businesses transition from like a brown economy to a green economy. Probably that's something I would also want to do. And again, in addition, I would also want to see how I can contribute to like the development of other young people in the climate space or in the environmental protection space. So two things: first, research and development, and second, building like the capacity of young people. because one of the things we should push for as young people on the continent is for us not to be there alone. We should try as best as possible to bring other young people on board, and together we win collectively and lead Africa forward like you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Philip. So, for anyone who is listening and would like to support Philip's dream, I will be linking his contact details, his LinkedIn in the bio of our podcast so that you can possibly reach out to him and discuss with him further if it's something you believe you would want to support him with. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Philip. I know you have such a busy schedule, so I really appreciate that you were able to join the podcast, like, that's why you're really busy schedule. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so thank
Okay.
you for watching, everyone. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at the end of the season, so we're wrapping up very, very quickly. So if you've been here from the very beginning, thank you so much for supporting us. And I will see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.